Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to the Voice of the Times this Wednesday, November 4, 2020. For today's editorial, there has been more success than failure in the Typhoon Rolly response. The damage is still being assessed in the areas ravaged by last weekend's onslaught of Typhoon Rolly with international name Goni. But it is already apparent that, despite devastation in Catanduanes, Albay, and other places along the storm's path, the country's disaster response has been largely effective. There have been, however, some missteps that should serve as lessons to be applied in future calamities. It should also be noted, though this will be of no comfort to those who suffer the full force of the storm, that luck played a significant part in ensuring that the disaster was not more catastrophic. As it approached Luzon, Rolly reached Category 5 strength with winds almost as fierce as 2013's devastating Super Typhoon Yolanda, with international name Haiyan, and appeared to be on a path that would take it directly over or very near to Metro Manila. Although it did hit the Bicol region hard, the storm lost strength very quickly and veered southward. It missed the metro area and did less damage than was feared, though Quezon, Batangas, and Cavite provinces did not escape completely unscathed. As it was, the damage caused by Rolly in Catanduanes and Albay was appalling. Tens of thousands of homes were destroyed. Infrastructure was comprehensively wrecked. Catanduanes was almost completely cut off from communication with the outside world until midday on Monday, and initial estimates of damage to crops exceeded 1 billion pesos. In spite of this, the number of human casualties was apparently remarkably low. As of late Monday, the death toll from the storm was 16. And while that figure was expected to increase by a few, most everyone in the affected areas has already been accounted for. Any loss of life due to a natural disaster is a tragedy, but we can be rightfully thankful that Rolly did not result in hundreds of thousands of deaths, as similar storms in the past have done. Credit for that positive outcome goes entirely to local government units, or LGUs, which, with only a few isolated exceptions, displayed a great deal of initiative and self-reliance in preparing their communities before the storm struck. Even here in Metro Manila, which was eventually spared the wrath of the storm, all the LGUs had activated their local response plans by midday of Saturday, positioning relief goods and other resources, and conducting preemptive evacuations of people in high-risk areas. The national government, by contrast, gave the public the impression that it considered the storm an annoying inconvenience to a holiday weekend, and seemed slow to respond, only formally convening the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council on Sunday morning, after the storm had already made landfall and pummeled Catanduanes and Albay. President Rodrigo Duterte in particular was singled out for public criticism for not making an appearance, even online as he was in Davao for the weekend, or issuing any public message before the storm. Palace spokesman Harry Roque Jr. aggravated the controversy in a press briefing on Monday by explaining that the president's absence was because it was a Sunday. With all due respect to the president, his invisibility prior to the storm's arrival was counterproductive, and unnecessarily gave his critics an issue that distracted from the actual matter of disaster response. Had he made a reassuring statement about the government's response at the time everyone was expecting it, any criticism directed at him or the government would have been disarmed, as it would have had to address the substance of the relief and recovery effort, which, as it turns out, had been largely effective in the storm's aftermath. Apart from improving public messaging, other areas of concern revealed by the calamity include the need for the government to upgrade its secure communications capabilities in disaster-prone areas, and the need to revisit the system of public storm signals. Despite the best efforts of PAGASA, or the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, the storm signals are evidently still confusing to the public and LGU officials alike. The system makes perfect sense if one is a meteorologist, but as that does not apply to the majority of the population, it could be made much more user-friendly. And that's the editorial for Wednesday, November 4, 2020. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.